Welcome to Crisis in Perception, where we examine the systems shaping our world, one book at a time. Today, we're diving into Jonathan Coe's Middle England. Now, this is a novel that's less about a single big event and more about the slow, creeping crisis of identity that completely reshaped a nation. And why does that matter? Because it shows how the private anxieties that, we all feel can actually scale up to change the entire course of history. You see, Middle England isn't just a story. It's more like a diagnosis. Through the lives of its characters, the book basically charts the fraying of a national spirit, this quiet identity crisis that was simmering for years before it finally boiled over into the political earthquake we know as Brexit. And this quote, which actually opens the novel, it just gets right to the core of the problem. It paints this picture of a comfortable, relaxed national identity that felt really secure, like an old, gentle river. But as the story shows us, beneath that calm surface, it was already fracturing. The real power of the book is in showing how these personal, individual fractures perfectly mirrored the huge cracks in the national system itself. So, what's the central system that this book is really putting under the microscope? It all comes down to the breakdown of a nation's shared story. Coe's novel makes the case that England basically lost its common narrative, that set of beliefs and memories that once held the whole thing together.
I mean, think about it. If we can't even agree on who we were, how on earth can we possibly agree on who we're supposed to become? The book paints this picture of a country where different groups are just clinging to totally different and often imaginary versions of the past. And that fracture made a shared vision for the future seem, well, not just difficult, but completely impossible.
Okay, so our first key takeaway is how this fracture leads to a system that is just paralyzed by nostalgia. And we're not just talking about fondly remembering the good old days. No, this is about using a sort of idealized, airbrushed past to escape a present that feels really confusing and frankly kind of threatening.
And what's really fascinating here is that there wasn't just one single nostalgia. There were a bunch of competing versions, all at war with each other. You had some characters dreaming of a lost industrial Britain. Then you had others, like the main character Benjamin, clinging to a memory of 1970s social unity. And then others were yearning for this mythical, rural, deep England that, well, maybe never even existed. Each group was trying to restore a totally different kind of greatness, and it was pulling the country in opposite directions.
This brings us right to our second point, a systemic breakdown not just in the stories people told, but in language itself. The novel is just masterful at showing how different generations began to inhabit completely different realities, almost speaking different languages that the other side just could not understand. So on one side, you've got the world of the younger generation. Think someone like Sophie, an academic trying to navigate this universe of social justice, trigger warnings, and microaggressions. But on the other side, you have their parents and grandparents, who feel like the world they knew, with its simpler rules and clearer identities, has just completely vanished. And the most crucial point is, they don't even have a shared vocabulary to talk about their differences. So with a fractured story and a total breakdown in communication, what do you think happens to the political system? Well, our third takeaway is that it becomes hollowed out. Politics just stops being about dealing with people's real anxieties and instead becomes this detached game of PR and spin. And that creates a really dangerous vacuum. And the novel tracks this step by step. In 2010, you have a prime minister dismissing a voter's real concerns about immigration as simple bigotry. Then, in 2011, massive riots reveal this deep social fault line, and it's pretty much just ignored by the political class. Then you get to 2015, and a referendum is offered, not because the public was screaming for it, but as a way to manage internal party politics. The system wasn't listening, it was just managing perceptions. And into that empty void, decades of resentment finally found a voice. Now, to try and tie all of this together, Coe gives us this one really powerful visual metaphor. A nation driving forward while staring intently into its rearview mirror. Imagine it. The characters are driving through this landscape that's filled with these comforting, old-fashioned heritage signs, all pointing to the past. They are completely obsessed with what's behind them. But at the exact same time, there are these modern, flashing signs right in front of them, warning of huge dangers right up ahead, dangers they are completely ignoring. By focusing on this romanticized past, the system just missed the sharp, sudden turn in the road and drove straight into a crisis. So where does all of this leave us? Well, the book's ultimate conclusion is that major political events are never ever just about policies or politicians. They're about the stories a country tells itself. What Middle England does so brilliantly is it forces us to look past the noisy headlines and the ballot box results.
It suggests that the real system we need to analyze is the narrative machinery of a nation. And when that machine breaks down, when it stops producing a story that everyone can see themselves in, the entire structure starts to become unstable.
And this is the provocative and kind of scary question the book leaves us with. When a shared sense of purpose and identity just dissolves, what rushes in to take its place? Middle England suggests the answer is this potent mix of anger, nostalgia, and a really profound sense of loss. And those are forces powerful enough to change the world. This really powerful analysis all comes from the novel Middle England by the author Jonathan Coe. Now, to really explore these ideas further, we absolutely encourage you to engage with the source material yourself. You can, of course, read the book, you can support the author by buying a copy, or you can check it out from your local library. And since we've only really scratched the surface here, for the full long-form deep dive into this book and its ideas, you can follow the link in the description. And finally, if you enjoy these explainers, please subscribe and let us know in the comments what books or topics you'd like us to explore next. Thanks so much for watching.